Hello, hi there, it's Robin here at Expert On, and today we are talking about marine audio, the actual PYLE marine audio head unit, and to be specific, we are looking at the PLRMR23BTW. I say that while looking at it, and I've sold hundreds of these things. Now, they come in two colors, white and black, and what we're really going to do is open up the white one and see how it all works, so this way you can get it in your boat no problem. Now it's 4 times 75 watts, which basically means, you don't have to be too worried about it not being loud. It's going to be loud enough that you're going to enjoy having a set of two sets, of either 6.5 recommended or 5 1/4 if you don't have enough room. Two-way speakers are always better than full range. So we'll finish taking this out of the bag. Now, like all decks, this unit here is going to have a metal basket around it. Some of them are made out of plastic, some of them are made out of metal. A lot of them are covered, like this one here, to minimize the amount of humidity that's going to get inside. Another feature, when they say it's marine grade, doesn't mean that it's just white. Also means that the circuit board inside is all lacquer coated, so it becomes water resistant. Not waterproof, but water resistant. What that means is if it's going to be out on the boat exposed, you're going to want to have a splash guard. Pull that out of the box in a second. Now, to take this metal basket off, regardless what brand you have, there's usually just a little bit of a spring load on the side, which is going to get this guy unlatched from inside the unit. So, to start, we're working on pulling that out. I'm going to try and pull down on this metal basket a little bit, just like that. There we go. And we're going to slide this puppy out. Now, once we get this guy off, work it off, work it. And yes, they're tight. They're tight so they don't fall apart. There we go. All right, metal basket. So let's talk about the metal basket for a bit. This is what you're actually going to be installing into your boat. If you have a splash guard like this, it's going to go in the splash guard. So we'll take that out of the box at this point, so we get a better look at what that's going to do. That's also what's going to pinch on, so we can just slide the actual head unit into the boat. Now, this again comes in a black and a white frame, but it always has the smoked door. Now, something else very important, because we have had a couple of customers go, it doesn't stay up. It doesn't stay up because it's not supposed to go up. It's supposed to go down. It's supposed to go on like this. Now, when it's installed this way, try not to collect change in here because you are going to want to close that. So, when you have this, this is what gets pressed up against your boat, and the basket goes inside this cabinet right here. And yes, these are all tight. And then we've got all these little triangles, and that allows me to push and bend these guys out of the way and push them up, so this way it holds the basket nice and tight. Then the radio is going to slide right into this piece of hardware here, locking in place. There we go. So that's this. Now, depending on the brands and models, this one here happens to not come with screws, so you are going to want to have some nickel plated screws, which would be best because they're not going to rust or give you any bad look to it. So that's the splash cover. All right, so we've talked about the metal basket, and now we're into the radio. So before talking about just the features on the radio, let's cover what's in the bag. Comes with an IR remote control. So that's line of sight. You got to point it at the radio for it to work. It will work through, by the way, the frost, the smoked acrylic. Harness, we're going to cover that in a second. That's real important. 2 keys. This is to help release the deck, because when we put the basket on, and we're not going to be able to do it the way I did, which is pull the actual pins off the side and away, the keys are going to be able to allow us to push in the front. Now this is very impressive. Besides a little instruction manual in the bag, a warranty card, and why activate your warranty card, and thank you very much card. This is amazing in the bottom of the bag. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 little rubber plugs. And there's a 5th one on the unit. That's how often people lose things. This little plug that goes right here to cover your auxiliary port, they give you 4 more in the bag to replace it. That's pretty impressive. So on the top of the unit, they give you a little wiring diagram, which is very handy. Now, the nice thing is some people, probably say otherwise, but I'm going to say probably up until right into the 70s, the color code on this, except for growing and adding a couple of colors, is probably one of the most universal things going on out there. It's a 4-speaker setup, so there's, on this unit here, you've got a left and right balance, and you got a fade front to back. Now the wiring diagram here tells us what all the colors on this guy's going to do, but I'm going to quickly run through it just to make it easy for you. Now the first thing is, if we just split the actual power from the speakers, we're going to be, the first 4 sets, pairs, are going to be the purple, the gray, the white, and the green. Those are all going to represent speakers, our front, back, left, and right. Then we're going to be left with 4 wires on the other side. Now these 4 wires are 99% of the time black, yellow, red, and blue. Now I haven't come across a brand that changes this color scheme here. So the black is our ground, that's the negative on the battery. The yellow is our constant power, which is why it's a heavier cable. The next cable is red. Now that's also on the power side, but accessories. So if your boat has some way on a fuse box that when you put a key in it or you have a start position, you have an accessory and an off position, that's what this is for. What it does for you, it's very important, is it turns the radio on and off when you actually start the boat, versus having just these 2 wires put together, which will do the same, but the boat will always have power. So that basically means I can always have power from the battery, get the most power into the radio. Constant power also means that the presets on the radio station and the clock are going to stay working all the time. But I'm going to want to have this wire hooked up to something that gets turned on and off with the boat. So this way, when this is off, there's no power on this red wire, this radio automatically goes to sleep. You don't see anything but the clock on it. Now the last wire is a blue wire. Blue wire originally was for powered antennas, but now it gets used all the time for our amplifiers. Now what this does, it's the opposite of this guy. When I turn the radio on, it sends power on here, out this wire, allowing me to have an amp get turned on and off. That's what the amp is looking for when it says remote or REM on it. So that's what the blue wire is for. Again, if you don't have, you got to do a straightforward install. You're going to want no options on the boat to turn it on and off. You just want to go straight to the battery. Then you're going to take the red and the yellow wire, you're going to put them together. So this way, when there's power, this is going to get power. You got one of those, battery option switches on the boat. Anyways, and the black is your negative. Make sure those are hooked up. And before you finish hooking up your power, you want to get all your speakers all hooked up. Now, to get the color code right, I'm going to read it right from the packaging. White is left front. The gray is front right. The green is the rear left. And the purple is the rear right. So that's what's happening right here. So again, 4 times 75 watts. It's going to be great to run a set of, I call them high efficiency speakers. These are speakers that are really well tuned to be played on a head unit. Now there's other ones that are much more powerful, but they like to be run off of an amp because it takes a lot more to get them going, but they're going to get even louder. So if you want to get the most out of a radio like this, and you're looking for a quick reference, what should I be looking for? We'll put links for these. These are nice 2-way speakers, and they're the PLRMR22s if you're stuck for size. If you're looking for a set of speakers that you use every day of the week in any boat, that's going to get you the most volume out of it, then you're looking for PLRMR62s. These are great to use with head units. There you go, PLRMR62 and the 52. We're going to review those separately on their own. I just thought I'd show you what those look like. Now, another thing that you're going to want to have with a radio like this is an antenna. Now, I'm a minimalist when it comes to drilling holes in boats, so this is a great antenna. Now, this antenna works really, really well if you have a fiberglass boat or a wood boat, anything except where this radio would end up being in a metal box. If it's in a metal box, then you're going to need an external antenna. It's kind of like your car. This just plugs into the back of the unit, and this is our antenna. Now we try and get it vertical if possible, because horizontal you get a little bit of directional problems where the radio might fade in, fade out depending on where you are. But if you can drop it down, that's just as good as putting it up. Awesome. There we go. Antenna options, just so you know what the antenna is called. Any of these antennas will work, by the way. This particular one's from PYLE, and it is a PLRMR23B1. So that's PLRMR23B1. These guys, extremely affordable. They're all the same. Buy what you've got or recycle what you have. It's working just fine. Now on the back of this particular radio, we've got RCA plugs. The RCA plugs again represent the front and the rear channels, and they give us preamp output so we can add an amplifier to it. Now over here there's a fuse. Now sometimes this fuse, depending on the brand or model you buy, is part of the tail, so it's connected onto the yellow line and it's up out here somewhere. This one's actually built into the back of the unit, so you just have to pull it out if you need to replace it, pop a new one in. It's looks the same as what you normally get in a car. So just replace by color, because they're all color coded. This one happens to say 15 amps on it because it's a blue one. That would be a perfect replacement for this guy. So there we go. Now, oops, one last thing. So RCAs. Amplifiers. We're going to cover this in another video, but basically you just need a set of RCA cables to go from there to here. And remember that magical blue wire from here to here. Now, we'll cover it in another video when we're talking about the amp if you don't have RCAs in the back, but in this case, we're be good. Put that back there. All right, so now we'll actually talk about the features on the radio. Now, PYLE gave a different model number for the black versus the white, but they're exactly the same. So this one's called the PLRMR23BTW. This one's exactly the same, PLRMR27BTW. Now the 27's for black, the 23's for white. There you go. Now, outside of that, what we've got is a big clear display here. All the buttons are grouped together on this side here, which is, you know, so if you're looking for something that's packed together on one side, easier to control, easier to reference. Now they also have another popular model, the 29. It's got a little bit more blue lights going on, but this one here, real nice. This is one of the newer one. To get the white right, it's going to be a creamy white, so it's not shiny, glossy white. It's more of a matte white on the actual unit. And the big features on these guys here is, of course, we're not going over the over tilt when it comes to features because they're trying to drive more price point with it. Doesn't make it a bad unit, it makes it actually a really good unit if all you're looking for is Bluetooth, regular FM, AM radio, and auxiliary and USB input with half decent power on it. That makes this real popular. Now, it's, you know, you can get Kenwood, you can get Sony, but you're going to look at the features are going to be dramatically different. You need a lot of other things like their app system, the ability to add a remote, and all those kind of options. So all those add up to the price. So usually you're going to double from here to anything when you start into, let's say, a Kenwood, and then maybe add a little bit more when you get to a Sony or a PLRMR. On this unit here, one of the big features that I like about it is when we're actually playing with the menu, which is just by basically pushing the volume button in, brings up the menu on it. We can then select across and then hit enter, brings us back to where we are and keep going through. So that's bass, treble, fade front to rear, balance left to right. You've got local distance for the FM tuner. You got a couple of other little, you know, setup features in there, but that pretty much covers everything for there. But whenever you're going through that cycle, you can always just press that button down for a second or two, and it's going to go right back to the volume, which is kind of nice when you're in a boat. You want to make it as easy as possible. Again, auxiliary on this unit. And over onto the side here, we've got a USB input, and right beside there, they went with a micro SD card on this model here. So just to be a little different than their other models. That was so it actually hid behind the door. All their other models, just like other brands, it's either behind a detachable faceplate, which this isn't, and or it just sticks out altogether, and there's more chance of water getting inside of it. Talking about detachable faceplates, unless they're really good detachable faceplates, I don't recommend them for the boat because there's no shock absorbers in a boat. That faceplate's going to take a real pounding. Same thing on a motorcycle. I wouldn't recommend it because if you don't put it on properly and it pops off, it's not like it's going to fall on the floor. It's going to end up on the road somewhere. So anyways, that covers everything. PYLE does give great warranties on their product. They do come with a 1 year. You have to check with the warranty card and where you live exactly what to do with it. But if you have any questions or comments, you can always leave them down below. So our next video, we're going to be talking about speakers and stuff like that. Have a look around. This is Marine Audio Week here at Expert Island. So thank you very much. Again, my name is Robin. You've been watching Expert Island. Don't forget to leave some comments at the bottom if you wanted to find something extra out. And subscribe. Thank you very much. See you on the next video.